In military aviation, competition is not always about who builds the newest aircraft. Sometimes the real battle is about who delivers more. More payload, more range, more flexibility, and more value in the real world. And right now, one of the most interesting comparisons in military transport aviation is between Russia's legendary Ilyushin Il-76 and Europe's modern Airbus A400M Atlas. On paper, the A400M looks like the future. Newer design, advanced avionics, modern NATO systems, tactical precision capabilities. But many analysts still argue that the Il-76 continues to outsmart it in one critical area, strategic heavy lift. And that is exactly why this battle matters. This is how Russia's Il-76 shocked the aviation world and quietly outsmarted the Airbus A400M, something many people did not expect. First, let's understand the mission. The Airbus A400M Atlas is one of Europe's most advanced military airlifters. It was designed to replace older aircraft like the C-160 Transall and parts of the C-130 Hercules mission set, while also offering some strategic lift capability. It can land on short, rough runways, perform tactical low-level missions, support special forces, conduct medical evacuation, airdrop heavy cargo, and even work as an aerial refueling platform. Airbus highlights that it can land on short, unprepared strips and perform fully automatic low-level tactical flight, capabilities built for modern expeditionary operations. That is impressive. In many tactical missions, the A400M is excellent. But here is where the Il-76 enters the story. The Il-76 was never designed to be elegant. It was designed to move massive weight under brutal conditions. Originally developed during the Soviet era, the Il-76 became one of the most successful heavy transport aircraft in history. It was built for strategic airlift, oversized cargo, military deployment, tanker missions, and disaster response across enormous distances. And despite being older, its core strength remains powerful. Payload. This is where the surprise begins. The latest Il-76 MD-90A variant can carry around 60 tons of payload, while the Airbus A400M currently operates around 37 tons, with Airbus targeting an upgraded limit of about 40 tons in future capability packages. That difference is huge, because in military logistics, payload is not just a number, it decides the mission. Can you move a tank? Can you move engineering vehicles? Can you move missile systems? Can you move everything in one flight instead of two? That changes strategy. A single Il-76 can handle cargo loads that push the A400M to its operational edge. Some community discussions point out that heavier armored systems are far easier to move with an Il-76 than with a 37 to 40-ton class transport. And this is where Russia's aircraft quietly outsmarts Airbus. The A400M is brilliant at tactical flexibility. The Il-76 dominates strategic weight. Different philosophies, different priorities. Russia focused on moving heavy force projection across vast geography. Europe focused on flexible expeditionary response with advanced tactical access. Neither is wrong, but if your mission is raw heavy lift, the Il-76 still wins attention. That shocked many observers because people often assume newer automatically means better. Not always. Now let's talk about modernization. Critics often say the Il-76 is just an old Soviet aircraft. The Il-76 MD-90A is not simply an old airframe. It includes major upgrades such as PS-90A-76 engines, a modernized cockpit, stronger structure, improved fuel efficiency, and better operational performance compared to older variants. These upgrades were specifically designed to keep the aircraft competitive in modern military logistics. This means the Il-76 is not surviving because of nostalgia. It is surviving because it was upgraded for relevance, and relevance matters more than age. Meanwhile, the A400M also had its own development struggles. The aircraft is excellent today, but its program faced years of delays, technical issues, and especially engine-related complications involving the TP400D6 turboprop. Airbus itself has acknowledged that risks remain around capability qualification, operational reliability, and long-term cost reductions, even while retrofit and upgrade programs continue. That matters, because an aircraft is judged not only by brochures, but by how reliably it performs in service. Airbus has worked hard to improve the A400M, and the aircraft has proven itself in disaster relief, combat zone evacuation, and international deployments. During crises like the Turkey-Syria earthquake and Kabul evacuations, the A400M played major operational roles. But the Il-76 has something else: scale. Hundreds of aircraft, decades of operator experience, massive logistics familiarity, heavy lift confidence. Sometimes proven mass matters more than modern design. This is especially true for countries that need strategic transport without depending entirely on Western supply chains. That is another reason the Il-76 remains attractive. Not every air force wants NATO standard logistics. Some want independence, some want affordability, some want a proven heavy lifter that can operate in difficult conditions. And that is where the Il-76 still holds influence. Even online aviation communities reflect this divide. Some users prefer the A400M because of spare parts access and modern support systems, while others clearly point to the Il-76's larger payload and stronger heavy lift capability as the deciding factor. That split is real, because choosing a transport aircraft is never just about technology, it is about doctrine. If your military strategy depends on special operations, short runway deployment, and NATO interoperability, the A400M is incredibly strong. If your strategy depends on lifting heavier armored systems and strategic mass transport over huge distances, the Il-76 becomes difficult to ignore. That is why some countries continue studying both aircraft instead of choosing automatically. India, for example, has often faced discussions around replacing aging Il-76 fleets, with the A400M appearing as a possible option. But many analysts note it is not a true one-to-one replacement because of the payload gap. That alone tells you how important this difference is. Now let's address the title: How Russia's Il-76 Outsmarted Airbus A400M. Did Russia build a better aircraft in every category? No. The A400M is more modern in many ways. Its avionics are newer. Its tactical systems are stronger. Its special mission flexibility is outstanding. But Russia outsmarted Airbus in one powerful way. They built exactly for the mission they needed: heavy strategic lift first. And decades later, that decision still pays off. Because when an army needs to move oversized military power fast, raw lift capacity matters more than design elegance. The Il-76 was built around that truth. That is why it still matters in 2026. It is also why the aircraft continues evolving rather than disappearing. Russia understands that strategic airlift is not optional. It is national infrastructure. And while future projects like super heavy transports and engines like the PD-35 may shape tomorrow, the Il-76 remains the working backbone today. That practical reality matters more than headlines. Even Airbus seems to recognize the payload question strongly enough that it continues pushing A400M upgrades toward the 40-ton class, because payload growth directly affects competitiveness. That is not accidental. It proves the market understands exactly where the challenge exists. Payload decides power, and power decides procurement. This is why the Il-76 still shocks the aviation industry. Not because it is flashy, not because it is new, but because it keeps doing the job. Quietly, reliably, heavily. That is often more dangerous to competitors than hype. In aviation, the strongest aircraft is not always the newest one. Sometimes it is the one commanders trust when the mission cannot fail. And for strategic lift, the Il-76 still earns that trust. That is why Airbus A400M did not simply replace it, because they are not truly the same answer. One is tactical modern flexibility. The other is strategic heavy certainty, and certainty wins many wars before they begin. So when people ask how Russia's Il-76 outsmarted the Airbus A400M, the answer is simple. It understood the mission first. Move more, carry heavier, operate everywhere, stay useful for decades. That strategy created an aircraft too important to disappear. And even today, against one of Europe's most advanced military transports, that old giant still refuses to step aside. That is not just engineering, that is strategic design. Now the real question is this: can Airbus eventually push the A400M far enough with payload upgrades to truly challenge the Il-76's heavy lift dominance? Or will the Il-76 remain the king of this class for years to come? That answer will shape the future of military transport aviation. But one thing is already clear. Russia's Il-76 was never just an old cargo plane. It was a long-term strategy. And sometimes the smartest aircraft is the one nobody expected to keep winning. If you enjoyed this deep and informative aviation breakdown, Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you choose the IL-76 for raw heavy lift or the Airbus A400M for modern tactical operations? And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful aviation documentaries and research-based stories just like this. Because in aviation, capability always speaks louder than age.